Russia has launched a massive aerial attack on Ukraine, deploying its hypersonic Kinzhal missiles, nicknamed the Dagger of Death. The missiles were launched alongside hundreds of drones as well as other long-range weapons. The Russian Defense Ministry has said the attacks targeted Ukraine's military, industrial as well as oil facilities, claiming all designated targets were hit. Ukraine confirmed the attack, with the President Volodymyr Zelensky calling it one of the largest strikes by Russia since the war started. He said Russia launched 60 missiles and nearly 500 drones and urged Western allies to send more air defense systems. Now, before we go any further, here's what you must know about Russia's Kinzhal missile. It's a hypersonic aeroballistic weapon, which means it can travel at up to 10 times the speed of sound, which means it is nearly impossible to intercept. It has a range of 2,000 kilometers and can carry both conventional as well as nuclear warheads, giving Moscow a powerful strike capability against heavily defended targets. During the assault, Ukraine also lost an F-16 fighter jet, killing its pilot. The Ukrainian Air Force has identified the fallen airman as Lieutenant Colonel Maxim Ustimenko, a first-class pilot. He is the third F-16 pilot Ukraine has lost since it started flying the fighter jets last summer. And his death marks the loss of Ukraine's fourth F-16 in that time. Ustimenko's death is a heavy blow for Ukraine. Only a handful of its top pilots are trained to fly F-16s, the most advanced jets in its fleet, and the specialized training takes months to complete. The president of Ukraine said Ustimenko destroyed 7 targets before he was killed, praising him and the Ukrainian Air Force for heroically protecting the country's skies. Ukraine's Air Force also described the bombardment as the largest airstrike since the war started, as critical infrastructure targeted in cities. Local media reported oil processing plants were likely among the targets. Meanwhile, Russia's defense ministry also claimed battlefield gains, saying that it seized the Novaya Okhrinka settlement in Donetsk and killed over 1,200 Ukrainian troops in offensives across Kharkiv, Donetsk and Dnipropetrovsk. It said its forces downed a Ukrainian Neptune missile and over 100 drones. Russia has also been amassing troops near Sumy.
Если выйдем, то тут такие бугор, реально болот. А на новых опорных пунктах мы уже вышли.
And with Russia also amassing troops near Sumy as Ukraine fights to hold line. According to reports, Russian forces are now just 12 miles from Sumy, a northern Ukrainian regional capital. Moscow, in fact, is pushing its manpower advantage along multiple fronts. With 50,000 troops deployed near Sumy, Russia outnumbers Ukrainian forces there roughly 3-1. And having expelled Ukrainian troops from Russia's Kursk region earlier this year itself, the Russian units have poured over the border towards Sumy. Ukraine's top military commander, General Alexander Syrsky, has admitted that Russia's main strategy is simple: to wear US down with their number. The Russian advance comes as the US President Donald Trump voiced frustration over Moscow's unwillingness to broker a ceasefire. And on the battlefield, Russia has continued to ramp up attacks on Ukraine, launching large-scale aerial bombardment. The front line now stretches over 750 miles, with Russian forces probing weak points before striking hard. And what is Ukraine doing at this point? Its commanders are struggling hard to actually plug the gaps. It has reportedly deployed elite units like the Timur Special Forces Unit from military intelligence to stabilize the defenses. And since their arrival, Ukrainian forces have managed to halt Russian advances and even reclaim some territory. But Ukrainian troops still remain vastly outnumbered. And concerns are also rising over Ukraine's preparedness. Soldiers say defensive lines near Sumy remain outdated. And on top of that, They are exposed to Russian drones. Ukraine's defense minister, meanwhile, acknowledged the gaps, has said that fortifications are being improved. But he also stressed defense is not just about concrete and trenches. It also means adapting to the enemy's tactics. And it seems desperate times call for desperate measures. Ukraine now looks set to take a drastic step amid Russia's increasing attacks. Ukraine has withdrawn from an international treaty banning landmines. In fact, Ukraine's president has signed a decree to pull out from the Ottawa Convention, which bans the production as well as the use of anti-personnel landmines. In a late-night video message, Zelensky justified the decision, saying that Russia was never part of this convention and continues to use mines against Ukrainian troops and civilians. Listen to this.
Росія ніколи не була учасницею цієї конвенції.
Russia was never part of this convention, and it is using anti-personnel mines with utmost cynicism. And not only now, by the way, in its war against Ukraine. It's a hallmark of Russian killers, to destroy life by all means at their disposal. We take this political step and by doing so give a signal to all our political partners on what to focus on. This concerns all those countries which border Russia. Anti-personnel mines are the instrument which often cannot be substituted by something else for defense purposes.
Протипіхотні.
Ukraine ratified the treaty back in 2005, pledging never to use these deadly weapons. But as the Russian forces advance with their manpower, Ukraine is looking to scrap that promise, to defend its territory at any cost, it seems. And a senior Ukrainian lawmaker called it a move driven by battlefield realities. Kostenko, who is the secretary of the Ukrainian Parliament's Committee on National Security, Defense and Intelligence, has said on his Facebook page, I'm quoting now, "We cannot remain tied down when the enemy has no restriction." And the Ukrainian Parliament still needs to approve the withdrawal from the treaty. But the decree is also meant to send out a message to Kyiv's Western allies. It shows Ukraine's desperation. Ukraine is urging its allies to prioritize new forms of support for the war-torn country now. An Israeli citizen has been arrested for allegedly plotting the assassination of the country's defense minister on orders from Iran. Israel authorities have arrested a 24-year-old man for planting what they termed as powerful explosive near Israel Katz's home. In fact, this is located around an hour from Tel Aviv and Jerusalem by road. The Israeli citizen allegedly placed the explosives in a location where they could detonate as cars passed by. Israeli media reports saying the plan was very close to succeeding. Back in April, Israeli police and the Shin Bet arrested the 24-year-old and his friend from a town near Haifa, and authorities say an Iranian agent known as Alex recruited the 24-year-old through Telegram. According to the investigators, the two men began by filming strategic locations, including the Shin Bet's headquarters. They later received orders to plant surveillance cameras in Katz's hometown. And they reportedly picked up the equipment from a home in Holland, but aborted the operation after spotting a passing security vehicle and dumped the cameras in nearby bushes. The 24-year-old later received new instructions from a second Iranian contact, reportedly, to retrieve a blue bag containing explosives, reportedly, and placed it near Katz's home. Israeli reports also say he received payment in cryptocurrency and even kept a portion of the explosives at home. Security services claiming that the 24-year-old citizen maintained contact with Iranian operatives throughout 2025 and carried out several missions on behalf of Iran. And this case further highlighting the growing pattern of Iranian and Israeli espionage. In fact, according to Israeli media, the failed plot against Katz was just one of the several Iranian plans to target senior Israeli leaders. Just last week, Katz said that Israel had considered targeting Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, during the recent 12-day war, but never got a chance to execute that plan. Iran's parliament recently also passed a law imposing death penalty against anyone for cooperation with Israel, the US, or any other recognized hostile groups. Last week, Iran arrested several Mossad or Mossad-linked agents from across the country and even executed some with alleged links to the security agency. According to Israeli media, investigators believe many of the Israeli targets hit during the recent conflict were selected using surveillance footage collected by Israeli operatives working for Tehran. And in recent months, Israel has detained several citizens accused of spying for Iran. Just last week itself, 3 Israelis were taken into custody. One allegedly gathered details about the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's future daughter-in-law. Another reportedly photographed military bases and homes of public officials. In May, Israeli authorities charged an 18-year-old for allegedly spying on former Prime Minister Naftali Bennett while he was hospitalized. In January, 2 IDF reservists were arrested for allegedly selling sensitive information about the Iron Dome system to Iran for payments as low as $50. China has just unveiled a chilling new weapon, a so-called blackout bomb capable of plunging entire cities into darkness. The weapon, dubbed as the Weapon of Darkness, featured in a slick and animated video. It was aired by the state broadcaster, CCTV, touting its ability to cripple power grids across 10,000 square miles and without any visible destruction. How does it work? According to the report, the bomb is graphite-based, also known as a carbon fiber bomb. It ejects over 90 cylinder-shaped submunitions that burst mid-air, spraying fine filaments of carbon into electrical stations and substations, and effectively short-circuiting entire networks. What's its range? Nearly 300 kilometers. This so-called blackout bomb is launched from land and specifically targets critical military infrastructure. And that makes it a silent but extremely strategic weapon in any future conflict. That's what we know about it. The Chinese state media did not offer any technical breakdown as such. It has called it simply a quote-unquote mysterious, domestically made missile. But analysts are connecting the dots, especially given the growing tensions over Taiwan. Is it preparing this bomb for future Taiwan invasion? We do know that tensions with Taiwan have been on the rise. China considers the self-ruled democratic island as its own territory. Chinese planes and ships have been spotted near the island, and just this month, 6 Chinese aircraft and 8 vessels were reportedly spotted close to Taiwan's waters, with Beijing long threatening what it calls a forcible reunification with Taiwan. This blackout bomb could give it a non-lethal edge, if that is the route that Beijing decides to go by. Already, this weapon has created a lot of buzz online, naturally. Users on X reacted swiftly, many saying that this kind of technology is not new. The US used graphite bombs as early as 1991 in Iraq and in Serbia, reportedly, but others still sounded the alarm. Is modern warfare becoming very silent and very frightening? And if that is true, we all have a lot to worry about. The US has already warned of imminent Taiwan attack by China. Its defense secretary has already warned that China is rehearsing for war. At the Shangri-La Dialogue in Singapore, the US defense secretary had warned that China is preparing for the real deal and developing capabilities to seize Taiwan. This so-called blackout bomb may now be a key part of that plan. Just imagine, no visible blast, no bloodshed, just cities in the dark. With silent weapons like these, warfare may never look the same again. To stay up to speed with the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.